Hello everyone, this is Aneta Hall. I'm freshly back from South by Southwest. Wanted to share some insights with you. This year, record number of techies, entrepreneurs, interactive professionals descended on Austin, Texas to really talk about innovation, to discover the next big thing, if you will, when it comes to interactive space. What were the big three trends, you ask? Well, the very first one, interestingly enough, was no longer focused on software and apps. It's actually, we were turning back to hardware at South by this year. There were several of the hardware pieces on display, very prominently talked about. The very first one, MakerBot, which is the 3D printer, which can produce objects from computer models, and it layers thin sheets of molten plastic to really make something that anyone can make based on the computer model. So it's really bringing what was in the past created in factories really available to make us the creators of things. Mimoto, the live blogging device that hangs around your neck and takes pictures at a rate of 2 per minute. So really making your life, capturing your life even after you put the object you take videos with away. Creating really a live stream of Flickr pictures around your life. Leap motion, very, very big splash with this gesture sensor, the size of a pack of gum, very much, Minority Report like, when you're using your hands to control your computer, just like in Minority Report movie. Ouya made a splash with the keynote, their CEO making a keynote. This is the crowd-funded gaming console scheduled to go on sale later this year for just $99. Surprisingly, though Google Glass has not made as much of a splash here at South by as we expected, primarily because Google concentrated on and focused on developers, really catering to them. There were a couple of sessions for them to really teach them how they can get involved and start to create apps for Google Glass. We know that Evernote, Gmail, and Path already have these apps. And it's very interesting when you think about it with wearable devices, because the device and the design of the app needs to complement your surroundings and not to really take away from them. So very interesting design dilemma there. The second big trend at South by Southwest this year was space and the new bold frontier for entrepreneurs. There were a total of 15 panels focused on space and space travel. And NASA had a very sizable presence there. They even brought their life-size replica of their Webb telescope, and it was on display there. But what really stole the show was the keynote by SpaceX CEO, and he also is a CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk, who talked about the challenges when it comes to developing a program for space travel. He actually demoed a video of Grasshopper, an experimental reusable rocket that hopefully the concept of it will really make the space exploration a reality for all of us. So that rocket would propel the spacecraft out of the Earth's atmosphere and then flip back and actually come back to the launch pad and ready to be reused. Very interesting, futuristic kind of presentation there. The third trend, no surprise there, big data. It actually wasn't even big, it was ginormous. What was interesting this year were a couple of panels that attempted to take the big data that was created around the show, all of the social media mentions, parse them pretty much in front of our eyes and give us the insights. I know Digitas has done that. And we're able to identify Elon Musk actually to be the keynote that generated the largest number of mentions, 10,000 to be exact. I did not catch too many other keynote speeches because I was trekking back and forth between various venues and trying to catch as many panels as possible. But I did hear that Cory Booker stole the show. He is the mayor of Newark, who is using Twitter in a very engaging way, really showing us the transformational nature of being involved in the life of their constituents. Truly the politics 2.0 keynote there. And actually that keynote has earned him the title of Speaker of the Show this year. Now, with regards to social media marketing, the sweet spot for me, I was expecting a good number of sessions focused on social media monitoring and analytics, and South by Southwest did not disappoint this year. And there were various flavors of them. The one I didn't catch, but I was watching the Twitter feed was the guy from Adam Schoenfield from Simply Measured and Matt Thompson from Cloud, who was a very interestingly titled session. Social media was fun. Has measurement killed it? As the title showed it there, yes, it was in fact a lot of fun with very little measurement at first, but social media, especially now that corporate America has gotten a hold of this as a way to engage with their audience, everything is to be measured. But we've got to be careful about what to measure and how to present these insights to our bosses, because what we want to do is really show the business purpose behind social media, but that doesn't mean that we should take the swagger away from social media communications. Another analytics session that I did catch was actually star-studded performance by I think there were 5 folks on that panel, starting with Susan Ettlinger from Altimeter. She's actually the main researcher behind the social media cookbook, the research paper that is published on altimeter.com. You can grab it for free. There were a couple of folks who were there along with her. Alistair Kroll, a very funny guy who brought a lot of entrepreneurial spirit to that panel. Margaret Francis from Exact Target, Blake Robinson from Analect, Social Analect. So star-studded, very, very smart folks. How we started the session was a 2.5-hour session. So, lots of insight there, lots of coffee needed. But Susan started by really showing us that social media is as used by big brands, is no longer limited to getting insights and analyzing social chatter for brand health. Even though we're doing it on a regular basis, this is usually where companies get started, measuring attitudes, conversations, behavior, share of voice. Some of us are already familiar with using social analytics for marketing optimization, improving the effectiveness of the marketing programs. Revenue generation, the sweet spot for all of us. But really looking at social media data for operational effectiveness, especially when it comes to social media for customer service, measuring customer experience, and innovation, really helping your company look at the social chatter in order to, and actually start interacting with folks in order to make the life cycle of your products and time to market be much, much faster. The disappointing news there that Susan presented based on her paper was that in fact 44 large enterprise social media programs are still relying on anecdotal measurement strategy. So, what they've heard, what people told them, with no really sustainability and more qualitative than quantitative, not an excuse, and definitely not a way moving forward. 44%, according to Susan, relied on correlation, so comparing two data sets and trying to decipher whether there is a relationship there, not obviously a very reliable method of measurement. 42% are still relying on short links such as bit.ly, being embedded within their social communications, or sometimes the tracking codes within these URLs in order to figure out how many people click on these links, how many ended up going and becoming, part of the nurture stream. This is actually a very popular way of measuring social and analyzing social for business results in our social media practice. Only 32% actually of large brands relied on integrated applications or software as a service type applications like Salesforce.com Marketing Cloud, or formerly known as Radian6, to really understand the health of your channels and overall share of voice and share of conversations. Surprisingly, the key insight for me from that panel was the fact that it is okay not to focus primarily on measuring revenue with social media analytics. It is still very aspirational. But what majority of companies are measuring, and where I work, we measure the same thing, is customer experience, community insights, while we are waiting for the tools to come up to speed so we can actually start to identify touch points within the customer journey where social is helping to bring the revenue home. Another key point that I went to South by to get answers for is sustainable content marketing strategies. And there was a panel by Carrie Bugsby from Big Deal PR and Mark Williams from Life World that looked at storytelling to better connect with your customers and your prospects in social media. So I jumped on that one. It was very interesting. Carrie was actually participating via Skype because she got stranded in one of the airports trying to dig out of all of that snow that fell in the Northeast. Some key insights there. It was very interesting. I think it was Mark who mentioned that creating content for the content's sake or for the channel's sake. We all have our editorial calendars. We all have gaps within the editorial calendars where we end up filling these gaps with very meaningless content. So I don't know, for a B2B company, all of a sudden we're talking about, I don't know, today is an International Chocolates Day. Have you had your fix of chocolate? Something mindless. The answer to prevent that, obviously sustainable pipeline of content, but we all know that sometimes that content dries up and we have gaps there. Content curation is the answer. So instead of looking at always posting content of yours, there is plenty of content others create that is worth repeating, and that could be your answer to that spotty pipeline of content that you have. The vast majority of the workshop was spent on focusing on stories, non-brand messaging. And this is not earth-shattering news to all of us. We all struggle with that. We struggle with, knowing customer pain points, developing marketing personas, and finding out what your brand stands for with respect to the brand attributes, and tying them into more memorable context that speaks to folks in social media. Ultimately, it's not about the toothpaste, it's about your customer kissing the girl, is what the story should be after. In the question part, interestingly, it came up several times, is content creators struggling with legal approvals. And that's part of the agile marketing moving forward, where you are educating, and legal is no exception, of how quickly marketing needs to respond and create content. Obviously, in regulated industries, that's a different story. You need to have processes in place, but really starting with educating your lawyers how quickly you need to move with that content, and telling them the basics, the differences between social networks and legal conundrums associated with that. As far as networking events, I didn't go to too many of them, but there was one that stood out quite a bit. All Hat event. If you have a chance to go next year, definitely sign up for that. Hosted by David Armano from Edelman Digital, and Richard Binghammer, formerly from Dell. Creme de la creme of social media strategy folks. And it was in the open space, so actually you could hear the response to your question. If I haven't connected with you at South by, sorry, always there is another time. So hope to see you there next year. Thanks so much.